Hi, and welcome to this presentation on revealing student thinking and learning in Seesaw. I'm Sandy Kendall, a digital learning coach in Georgetown ISD. I'm also a Seesaw certified educator. Before we dig in, just a quick note on pandemic teaching with Seesaw. During pandemic teaching was the first time that a lot of our teachers were introduced to Seesaw. And as a result, a lot of the activities that we asked students to do looked like this, where we were matching vocabulary with definitions, or like this, where we were completing a worksheet on subtraction. Both of these things are legitimate uses of Seesaw, but I'm going to argue they're not the best uses of Seesaw. And I hope that as teachers we can look at some more robust uses for the program and also encourage our fellow teachers to do the same. So let's think about a couple of things. I'm going to show you here in a moment some activities that can be done in Seesaw. And I'd like you to think about two questions. One, which of the following activities would reveal the most to you about student thinking and understanding? And two, which of the following learning experiences would you prefer as a student and why? I'm going to show you three pairs of activities. There'll be an A version and a B version. And as you look at them, take a moment to look at the student instructions and also the student template, what the students would work on in Seesaw. I'll pause a little bit on each screen, but you might want to pause the video yourself to make sure you have a chance to really look at these. So here is subtraction activity A. Here is subtraction activity B. Here is art activity A. And art activity B. Here's an activity on the continents, activity A. And an activity on the continents, activity B. So, what were your thoughts on those activities? These are some observations I made. The A experiences were very narrow skills assessments, and they really weren't enhanced by being in Seesaw. But the B experiences took advantage of some Seesaw tools, and through that, they engaged students to build, practice, and apply skills in a more interactive way. They recorded observable thinking and learning, and similar activities to these can show growth over time. They also give students a purposeful way to practice their voice and reveal their own thinking and learning. As a teacher, I can see how students are actually solving problems or what they've gotten out of something we've been studying because I'm hearing their voice and seeing their work in real time, although it's recorded. There's no way I could see that level of thinking from all of my students on a typical day in the classroom. But with Seesaw, I can pick assessments and activities that help me understand the thinking behind the learning that the students are demonstrating. Teachers are more informed when the students' thinking and learning is observable or visible. And students thrive when their thinking is displayed for their peers, teachers, and families. They can choose how they share what they have learned, depending on how you structure an activity. And with practice over time, students become comfortable sharing their ideas. You also have the advantage of multiple perspectives being represented. Remember, in Seesaw, students can see each other's work. By seeing how my classmate solves a problem, I might get new ideas for problem solving, but also learn to appreciate that there are multiple ways problems can be solved and that everyone brings something to the table. In addition to any of the things I've already mentioned, what benefits can you think about of using Seesaw for students to practice sharing their thinking? A few more benefits. All student voices are heard instead of just one. So a lot of times in regular class discussion, we have those students that are more comfortable talking, and you have students who are less comfortable. And you might not get to hear the neat things going on in their heads, but with Seesaw you can. Students can process before sharing their response. They can look at the instructions and think about what they're going to say. And you can model this for students and teach them how to do that. They don't have to dive right in and just get her done. They can really think about what they're going to show you. It's a safe space to share their voice and get feedback from their peers and from you. It's not as intimidating to maybe have to talk in front of the whole class. And it can build confidence for them to be able to do that so that in class discussion time, maybe they'll feel better about sharing what they know. And repeated practice is going to build confidence in speaking. So much of what we do is explaining ourselves in life and helping kids be able to articulate their own thinking, to work on that metacognition is going to benefit them in so many ways in the long run. So here are just some other example opportunities. In this activity, students do a reading reflection from a book they are reading. So you don't have to pre-assign a selection. You can get a feel for what the students are doing. And this kind of reflection can be structured around a science experiment, something that you've learned in social studies, something new you've learned in any subject area. It doesn't have to just be about reading. Another way is just showing thinking, like on a math problem, or maybe how you're going to approach a science experiment. Reflection is another thing that can be done in Seesaw. So you can create exit tickets after a day of new learning and ask students how they feel about it and explain why they feel that way. And that can give you an idea of who might need a little more help the next day. You might need to pull a small group of students that are feeling less confident. And you also know who can maybe help their peers out. So just a few more ideas. Students can do number talks. They can share their writing and get feedback from their peers. They can share their science discoveries. They can reflect on characters in stories or social emotional learning topics that you've discussed. Seesaw is a great way to practice a second language. If you are a dual language teacher, this is a great way for kids to have conversations. They can record conversations in pairs in their L1 and their L2. If you're using this with older kids who might be taking Spanish or another foreign language for credit, Seesaw can help you practice that with them too. So, thinking about some of the things that you typically do in your classroom, what other ideas can you think about where you could maybe use Seesaw to help enhance student thinking, to help show what students really know? Think about how a good explanation of just one math problem tells you a lot more about a student's real understanding than maybe doing 5 or 10 problems and just showing the work but not really talking through it. Hopefully you can come up with other examples from your content area. Be sure to jot those ideas down And don't hesitate to reach out to your digital learning coach if you'd like to collaborate on how to design those lessons in Seesaw. Thanks for taking time to consider these ideas for using Seesaw to reveal student thinking and learning. If you implement any of these ideas, please reach out to the digital learning team and let them know. We love to see how Seesaw is being implemented in your classrooms.